G'day there guys, Markee here, back at it again with another episode of r/relationship advice. Now if you love today's video like I love you, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, a like on the video, and enjoy today's bloody good content. Also guys, big things coming in the future. If you click that link at the top of the screen, you'll be directed to Mick. Up and coming Am I the A-hole relationship advice, who knows what else kind of content he's gonna cover. So if you love Markee, you'll be sure to love Mick just as much. Posted by user ThrowRA Confused Mo. Titled, My best friend wants me to work with my abuser on her wedding. I have a best friend, we'll call her Tina, who I've known most of my life. We have had a strong friendship from middle school all the way until we graduated from the same college. We have always been there for each other, and I tell her pretty much everything. Back in junior year of high school, we'll call him Rod, took advantage of me at a house party. He never apologized for it, and it put me in a deep downward spiral to the point where I almost wanted to drop out in order to never see his face again. I told Tina about it, and she did everything she could to support me. Fast forward to early 2020. Tina and her boyfriend Josh announced that they were getting engaged, and Tina wanted to be the maid of honor. I was beyond excited to do it. We've always talked about being each other's maids of honor. There was another detail though. Josh had a similar friendship history with his best man, and they thought it would be adorable if the maid of honor and best man worked together on everything, and were their own second package on the wedding day. I guess it was their way of making us feel a little more excited for weddings of our own. I found out that the best man was going to be Rod, and that he and Josh remained best friends after high school. I thought Rod was just in the friend group, but it turns out they were just as close as could be. My heart sunk, and I simply didn't know how to respond. They expected us to work together and be together the whole wedding process, and that sounded like literal hell. I started thinking about whether Tina never told Josh, or that Josh heard and just didn't care. All I know is that I was having second thoughts about the wedding after that. I texted Tina about my concerns with Rod coming in the most polite way possible, and she sent me this in reply. I know about what happened with you guys back in the day, but Rod seems to be a great guy now. It would just really mean a lot if you can push that memory away for the duration of this. Please just trust me. I don't know how to respond to this, and luckily the wedding planning process has been at a halt since COVID. I haven't responded to her since that text, but now this has been really bugging me. Should I just say no? It would probably break her heart, but I just don't know if I can handle working with my abuser. Help? Say no. If she wants you to do this, she is not your friend, period. If my fiancé was friends with someone who took advantage of my friend, I would be making an ultimatum that the friendship with the abuser ends. Good Lord, no. Do not feel bad about this. I am angry on your behalf. I don't knowingly associate with those types, and I sure as hell wouldn't marry someone who knowingly does as well, let alone my best friend's abuser. What the actual hell kind of people are these? It seems to me these are the people who pretend to support you, but don't actually think what happened is what it is, and it just happens at parties, and that the guy thought it was consensual. That's the kind of people they seem like to me. Gross. Someone else says, I'm truly happy for you that you are getting married to the man you love, and was incredibly honored to be your MIH. I really did want to share your happiness with you, but working alongside the man who took advantage of me as a child, one who hasn't even showed a shred of remorse for his actions to me, his victim, is impossible. It is not just bad memory, it's a trauma. I would have forgotten it if I could. It's not something I choose to live with. I would have loved to make your day as special as I could, but I have to protect myself. I am not working alongside an abuser, especially my own abuser, and I'm disappointed that you would even ask this of me. As if it was something so simple. I am disgusted that you would even go so far as to tell me he's a great guy after what he did to me, what I now have to live with for the rest of my life, and that you would choose to prioritize my abuser over me. I cannot be happy for you on the day of your wedding if I am spending the entire time reliving my experience, and I cannot celebrate a friend who would put me in harm's way and ask for me to sacrifice all progress I've made over the years for the sake of an unnecessary second package wedding bonus. I hope you have a wonderful wedding and life with Josh. I will no longer be able to attend and am cutting my ties here. OP, here's a suggested response if you would like to use any of it. Sometimes wording can be hard, and people are suggesting some fantastic alternative responses and mindsets to use if you wish. She does not get to expect this of you. She is minimizing your incident for her own sake, but I understand if you don't want to send her a barrage of angry responses in the politest way I can muster at the moment. Hope you are doing well and have other friends that you can rely on for genuine support. 100% you should say no. Her opinion of, he seems like a great guy now, and just trust me, is so unbelievably inconsiderate and neglects the impact of what Rod has done to you. No friend should ever put you in a position like this, and it's well within reason to politely say no and hold your ground. Right? What the frick kind of friend is this? Tell her what if she got taken advantage of, told her boyfriend, and the boyfriend was like, oh, but I know him, he's actually a great guy. Would she not feel like utter crap? What is wrong with people like her that literally think the world revolves around them, and as soon as it doesn't, they just dismiss anything getting in the way of it doing so that it can go back to revolving around them again? She is a sociopath. OP, I know you want to be considerate towards your friends and say things as lightly and non-confrontationally as possible, but it's time to love yourself now. Stay firm on what you believe. Respect yourself here. Screw confrontation and screw upsetting her and her stupid wedding. You've been subjected to a lifelong trauma, so screw her wedding for 3 seconds. I tried to be diplomatic in my last message so as not to hurt your feelings, but I'm going to put this as firmly and bluntly as possible so there is zero misunderstanding. I will not be working in close proximity with my former abuser. It makes no difference to me how nice he is these days. I'm glad he is no longer subjecting women to disgusting acts, but I am unfortunately not one of those women. I am sad that a horrific event that changed my life is being minimized, but it can't be helped, as you haven't experienced this yourself, so I understand how the horror of it can be hard to fully grasp. I really do wish you the happiest day, and I would give everything to be there. However, I will 100% not be present near that man, and that is non-negotiable. It really, really, really needs to be non-negotiable, and you need to state that your feelings on this are final, they are not to be minimized or put down or cast away for the sake of a wedding, and if they choose not to work with you to ensure their friend, and this selfish woman's best friend, is happy, then that is on them. If their wedding falls apart due to the need to reorganize crap and get a new maid of honor, it would be because they tried to trample all over your boundaries instead of hearing you out and adjusting as necessary to a specific and sensitive situation. In other words, that is on them. Remember that. Update: my best friend wants me to work with my abuser on her wedding. First of all, thank you all so much for the support on my post. I did not expect it to gain that much attention. I guess a lot happened since then. I don't know if it's even been a week yet, but this is going to change my life, perhaps for the better. There were hundreds of comments, and I thought I'd address a few questions regarding the incident itself. I don't appreciate how some of these were asked, but I'll share anyway for the sake of clarifying things. 1. Was I under the influence? Yes, but I remember vividly saying no. I was drunk enough to have all my strength and mobility wonky, but I didn't black out or anything. The force he used on me didn't seem that of someone who was drunk. He looked completely sober, but I could be wrong. I remember a couple of times when I was trying to lift myself off the bed and he would push me back down. I remember the expression on his face, and like you guys said, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. That's all I'm willing to share for now. The only person who knows all the details is Tina. Is it bad that I wish she knew nothing? Maybe it would hurt less. 2. Why didn't I report it? Because I saw how that turned out for the other girls I knew. I've had a few other friends, not Tina, who have had the same thing happen to them and nothing came of reporting it, and it made them feel worse. Just the few comments calling me a liar stung, so I can't imagine how I would have felt back as my unstable teen self. Not only that, I was scared of what Rod would do if he found out I had reported him. There was just something about him that made me never want to cross him. Reading all your comments, it seems pretty clear that how Tina was treating me was extremely inconsiderate, and I should find a new friend. Although it was a huge slap in the face, I came to my senses and believed that I couldn't be around someone who would do that to me. Some of you said to expose them during vows, but that's just not the kind of person I am, and it might not turn out well. A few of you gave me example texts I could send, which I'm extremely thankful for, but I decided to send this. I've had time to think about it, and I just can't be your maid of honor anymore. It's so hurtful that you're telling me to pack up my trauma for who knows how long until your wedding day. I just can't do it. I don't think I will come at all, knowing that he's going to be there. I'm sorry. It's pretty weak, but it's probably the meanest text I've ever sent. An hour later, I get a call from Josh. He asked me what was going on with me and Tina, and that she was extremely upset. A part of me snapped and I said, I don't know, what's going on with you making someone who took advantage of me the best man? I don't usually blurt things out like that. He was confused and I repeated myself. He was silent for a few seconds and then asked if he could come over. I was a little wary of the idea, but I said sure. I know we should be social distancing, but this really needed to be discussed. He comes to my apartment 40 minutes later without Tina. I have never hung out with Josh one-on-one before. It was always with Tina. Josh always had a really cute and sweet personality, and I've always approved of him when it came to dating her. He was really only a friendly acquaintance to me though. We sat down and spoke for over an hour. Tina had told Josh that the reason I wasn't coming to the wedding was that I didn't want to work with Rod because I had a crush on him, and thought she was forcing the relationship too much. So basically, she said we had a petty girl fight. My jaw hit the floor and I was fuming. She obviously never told Josh what Ron did to me. I shared that Ron had taken advantage of me back in high school and that Tina knew about it. I asked if he knew too. He said he didn't, but he did say that a few crazy bitches falsely accused him of it in senior year. This obviously didn't include me, since I only told Tina and a few family members. Josh believed him at the time, but I guess after hearing me say it, it's starting to dawn on him that it's his friend was a liar. Here's something that I didn't expect. Josh shared with me that he was taken advantage of when he was a kid by an older brother of a friend he had. He said that if he was forced to work with said brother on a wedding, he would absolutely refuse. He apologized heavily on behalf of Tina, but I won't forgive unless she says it herself. I know some of you may think Josh is lying, but I believe him. I could see it by Josh's face and body language that the realization really weighed down on him, and I felt bad. In a way, we were both going through a betrayal. I asked if he was okay to go home, and he said yes. He thanked me for telling him and left. I don't know if I'll stay in touch with him, but I was beyond furious with Tina at this point. I was expecting an angry text coming from her, and sure enough, I got it at like midnight. She went off, saying that I'm gonna end up destroying their marriage. How could I do that to her, etc., etc. I just pressed the block button and went to bed. Quickest decision I've ever made. I'm feeling a little down in the dumps right now, yet slightly relieved. I'm going to try to connect with other friends and try to move on from this. If I'm feeling brave enough, I might try to find these crazy bitches and see if we can make a case against Rod. Knowing that there are other victims makes me feel so guilty that I want to scream. Sorry it's not too happy of an ending, but I think it might have been more unhappy if I decided to go along with it. Thank you, Reddit. I'm livid for you. OP, screw that noise. Tina showed her true colors and never told Josh the truth. Josh sounds like a decent guy. You should stay in touch with him, especially since it sounds like in the reckoning with Josh and Tina, he's going to have to clean house, ending toxic friendships. There may be pressure on him to rug sweep, so hearing a voice of reason like yours may be a help. Tina doesn't deserve him, nor does she deserve your friendship. She's a liar and betrayer. She chose to protect an abuser, all to not make waves. It wasn't like her fiancé was pressuring her to include Rod, knowing everything. She made the executive decision to hide it and lie about why you backed out of the wedding. Terrible. Maybe this is a bit hasty since info on their relationship is limited, but I hope Josh just breaks up with her. He seems like a very emotionally mature person. He deserves better. I found out that my fiancé had known my best friend was an abuser for years and never said anything. I'd end that relationship. Imagine having to look back on years' worth of conversations and memories and realize that the guy you were hanging out with was an abuser. Potentially a serial abuser too. Josh now has to deal with that, plus probably has some major anxiety over every encounter Rod ever had with a woman in the time they've known each other. Also, seeing as Rod is so close to Josh, was Tina seriously fine hanging out with Rod this whole fudging time? Just chilling with her best friend's abuser? What a psycho! This is a somewhat wonderful update. While disappointed to see your friend Tina failing at being a friend, it brings me pleasure to see Josh is a great human being and you are no longer working with that scumbag named Rod. You just saved yourself a lot of headache and emotional pain, and probably saved Josh from a horrible person. Win-win, really. Posted by user ThrowRaPo. Titled, I, 38 male, just found out that my brother, 19 male, has been perving on my wife. Throw away, cause I'm still the only one that knows. Background. My brother has been staying with us since lockdown, after his university closed. He couldn't stay with our parents because they just sold the house and moved to a one-bedroom apartment, and our sister lives in a different part of the country. He was the, oops, baby, relatable, so I hope that explains the age gap. My wife and I have a 5-bedroom home, but currently don't have children yet. We decided to adopt 2 kids in our 40s, so we let him stay here. My brother has always been different. He's a bit of a loner and doesn't have a lot of friends outside of his online group. He's a shy, geeky kid, but he's otherwise alright, or so I thought, when you get to know him. So here is what happened. The Wi-Fi doesn't quite reach my brother's room, so he usually does his schoolwork and other stuff in the dining room. A few nights ago, I was walking to the fridge after waking up in the middle of the night. Wife and I sleep early, and I saw my brother working on something out, and as I got closer, I saw a very compromising picture of my wife. Cleavage shot as she was gardening. He noticed me and quickly closed the window like he was watching porn. I was too shell-shocked to say anything at the time, and he just smiled awkwardly and ran to his room with a laptop. When I realized that something was up, I knew I had to find out. The next day, I asked my brother to pick up some groceries and some lunch for us while he was away. I went to his room, something I've never done since he moved, and well, it wasn't pretty. I saw a couple of my wife's bras and some of her panties, which I can only assume he used to pleasure himself. I took his laptop and, screw it, decided to snoop. I knew his password because I borrowed his Crunchyroll account to watch this anime my friend recommended. I don't usually watch anime. There I saw some of the most sickening entries I've read. There were pictures of my wife in a towel, her working out, her in compromising positions, etc. All taken without her consent by the looks of it. This guy even logs every time he touches himself to the image of my wife. The creepiest part? He sometimes listens in on us when we have sex. My wife can be a bit loud, but we didn't think it would be a problem since his bedroom was in a different part of the house, the guest bedroom. I left the room feeling like I needed a shower. It was absolutely disgusting. Now I don't know what to do. I find myself fighting the urge to pummel him into the next week every time that I see him. I haven't even told my wife yet, because I'm 100% sure she would feel violated and disgusted. So I want to find the best solution first before doing so. I so desperately want to kick him out, but he has nowhere else to go. Even if I do, what should I tell my parents? The truth? This will most likely break the family apart. I do plan on telling my wife soon, but if I do, I can almost guarantee she would want nothing to do with him and would never want to visit the family if he was around. I'm so fudging lost right now. Any advice will help. Still fighting the urge to beat my brother to a bloody pulp. Edit, if you're wondering, I did take pictures as proof. Small update. I told my wife. The Redditors who said I should tell her first before anything because she was the victim here were absolutely right. I'm giving her all the power to decide what to do about it. A lot has happened, but there are still things that need to be settled. Too long to add here and too incomplete to make a new update post. Hopefully we'll have everything settled tomorrow or the day after. I'll write the update once everything is settled and I calm down. No, I'm not going to beat up my brother, but I have thought about it. And to the people asking for the pics, you're disgusting, and I hope the women in your life are proud of you. That's my wife. Please have some respect. Swans Big says, the only reason you busted him that night was because he was working in the part of the house with Wi-Fi. No way would he risk having that laptop out of his bedroom unless he needed the internet. I hope it's not true, but those pics are now likely in places other than just the laptop. I was thinking about that too. If it was just pictures, why did he need the internet to look at them? If it's real, he's posting them somewhere. Guaranteed he has an online backup. I would guess in his Google Drive. Hopefully, just because he's got them saved in the cloud, there must be some kind of online diary too. He's 19. He's an adult and he knows damn well what he did and that it's wrong. Make a copy of everything, record it with your phone, have proof of everything. Whether you want to confront him or go straight to the police is up to you, but I'd definitely be kicking him to the curb that instant. Also, his parents definitely need to know so he doesn't try blaming you or lying about it. Show them everything. He has nowhere else to go. That's his problem, OP. He shouldn't have done all of that if he wanted to live easy during all this. Time to face consequences for his actions. Prioritize your wife's safety and comfort in her own home. My nephew got himself into a similar situation. This is definitely one of those issues that divides a family, and you're just going to have to accept that. You have a responsibility to your wife here. She will feel even more violated if she found out you were covering for him, no matter the reason. She needs to know ASAP, and your brother needs to be kicked out immediately. Keep the laptop and all the evidence you've found. Your wife may decide to press charges against him, and you will need proof to back it up. Take videos of your wife's things in his room and the log he's created on his laptop. Tell your parents the reason he has been kicked out, but share only the details your wife feels comfortable with them knowing. Here to stress, it is a thing your brother did to divide the family. OP's family would do well to note, he and his wife are blameless for facing or exposing it. Update: I just found out that my brother has been perving on my wife. This update was long overdue, so I apologize to everyone who waited for this. I've had daily messages asking me about what happened, and now that I'm in a better place to actually talk about it, I can tell everyone about what happened. First of all, thank you to the Redditors who pointed out that I should tell my wife first before confronting my brother. You were right, she did appreciate the fact that I gave her control over the situation. I told my wife the next day after posting, and needless to say, she did not take it well. She says she feels violated and unsafe in her own home. See, the thing is, my wife and I have been together for almost 15 years, so we literally saw this kid grow up. We took him out to the movies, to the beach, etc. We sometimes even joked to my parents that he was our practice baby. My wife has a tendency to distrust people in general, as a lot of people in her life have let her down in the past. Imagine how betrayed and hurt she was when she found out someone she trusted and loved dearly betrayed her like that. Honestly, if I wasn't consoling my wife then, I probably would have gone through with the initial idea and beat the ever-living crap out of my brother. After she calmed down and went to sleep, I called my sister and talked about the situation. My sister and I are close, given that we're Irish twins. I feel like she needed to know because she has 2 teenage daughters herself, and who knows what my brother would do to them if given the chance. We talked, and she was clearly mad. She loves my wife like a sister, and they are quite close themselves. She said that she would support whatever decision we made, and that our brother would also be unwelcome at her place for the foreseeable future. Then we confronted my brother. At first he denied it, but when I showed him the evidence, he started ugly crying and begging us to forgive him. I gave him an ultimatum. Either he lets me in his phone, laptop, and delete everything, or I call the police. There was so much more crap on his computer than I initially thought. So many more stolen pictures of my wife that were definitely taken without consent. That fricker even recorded the audio of us having sex. Who does that? So after hours of me looking for as much crap as possible, and pretty much clearing most of his hard drive, he eventually left without much of a fight. Oh, and we definitely threw out my wife's defiled underwear, and are most likely going to have the room he stayed in cleaned professionally. I checked, and thankfully he didn't have any hidden cameras anywhere. Oh, and if you're wondering how he got the pictures of my wife in a towel, the shower for the masters doesn't have hot water yet, so my wife uses the shared one in the same area. She would usually walk out of the bathroom with just a towel and go and change in our walk-in closet. This shouldn't have been a problem, because the guest bedroom was in a different part of the house, far from the main bedrooms, and it had its own bathroom, so my brother had no reason for being there. Needless to say, my wife is still shaken up about the whole thing, which is why I didn't think about writing an update until now. I'm sorry, but my wife's well-being is my priority above anything else. My mum eventually called me asking what happened. She seemed very confused, so I figured my brother didn't tell her anything at all. I told her what happened, and needless to say, it did not end well. She kept asking me to forgive my brother and take him back in. She ranted about how difficult it would be to support him, and how what I'm doing is breaking the family apart. I let her talk till I eventually said my brother would no longer be welcome in my home. I told her that she needed to get him therapy, and that until then, there was no chance we would ever see him. My mum told me she'd talk to my sister about it, and I said, good luck, she's mad at him too. Not sure what's going to happen to our family now. The reason why we got the big house was because we wanted everyone to come over during the holidays and stay with us, but I'm not sure if my parents will at this point, and there's no chance my brother is ever coming back anytime soon. Thankfully, my sister is 100% on my side, and we're going to talk about what we're doing for Thanksgiving soon. My wife hasn't really been the same either, but she's getting better now that my brother is gone. We're talking about therapy, which is something she's willing to try out. We took a drive to the beach earlier. Chill guys, we didn't leave the car, and we talked about the future. We both agreed that after this whole COVID thing is over, we're going to finally start our family with kids. We want two. Being a mum is something she's always wanted, but we both wanted to be financially secure enough to give them a good future, and for us to also be in a position where we didn't have to work so much and just spend time with them. The sparkle in her eyes when we talked about our life together with kids told me that while things aren't good right now, we're going to be okay. I honestly can't wait to be a dad myself. So yeah, long story short, brother is gone. Wife is still sad, sister is on my side, but mum isn't, and I'm going to be a dad in a few years. Thanks to everyone who gave their advice. It honestly helped clear my head and make the right decision to tell my wife first. Oh, and to answer questions that may come up, no, we did not want to go to the police. My brother deleted everything voluntarily and left without a trace. I'm sure the pictures are still out there somewhere. Thankfully, they aren't too explicit, and it would severely damage my wife's reputation. And no, we aren't going to try and get pregnant or anything like that. We plan on adopting, which is something we both talked about early on. So again, thanks to everyone who messaged and commented. I may not have read everything, nor have I replied to everyone, but rest assured you are all greatly appreciated. Alright guys, that's where I'm going to end today's video. I really do hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even learned something that you didn't know before. If you haven't already, please do feel free to click that like button, as it really does help me in the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't already and you love today's video, please feel free to subscribe. I would love it a lot. Also, big shout out to all my Patreon members and channel subscribers. You guys are all up on the screen right now. I love you. I love your faces. Also, I love seeing you guys all chatting down below in the comments. It brightens my day to see the stories that you guys share and just the kind words you guys always have for my videos, as well as everyone else in the videos. I love you too. But honestly, your ongoing support means the world to me, and I just love it so much that you guys were able to support a career for myself that I invest so much time into. And you guys honestly motivate me to work harder each and every day to put more love into the videos for you guys. If you guys have watched this far in the video and you haven't already subscribed on Patreon or become a channel member, that's cool, you don't have to, but there are links down below. You can donate any amount of money, pledge that any month, cancel whenever. I'm completely cool with it. It's just there for you to support me if you'd like to go the extra mile. And I'll go the extra mile for you guys by putting out new amazing content every single day. With that said, guys, I really hope you have a good day, night, sleep, bath, time at work, whatever you're up to today. This has been Markee. I'll see you in the next amazing video. Bye.